time. We're looking for, we usually try to get about 20 to 25 new members every year. So I urge you to go through your contact lists and come up with, some wonderful new members for the organization. You will be getting a letter from Jody Klein, our membership chair, probably early next week. And it will give you all the specific instructions of how to nominate new members and so forth, and what the details are. The board met earlier today, and we have decided that we are going to pull the plug on our investiture reception in October. So that won't be happening, but we still want to keep to the schedule of nominating new members in September. And then the plan will be to induct those new members the first time we are able to gather in person, which hopefully will be not too distant future. So I think that covers all the business I needed to cover. So I am very pleased today to present or to introduce the development team that's going to be presenting today. We have McLean Quinn, who is the president of EYA since 2019. Before that, he was vice president of acquisition and development for EYA. And before that, he was at Morgan Stanley's real estate fund in New York and Wells Fargo in Charlotte. He has a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from Davidson and an MBA from the Kellogg School of Management. We also have from Bozzuto, Devin Hasty. She's a development manager at Bozzuto since 2019. Before that, she was vice president of development at Brick Lane, development associate at JBG Smith for many years. We just missed each other there. Senior analyst at the Cadmus Group. And Devin has a Bachelor of Science in Engineering from Duke and a master's in real estate development from Georgetown. And finally, we also have Justin Kennel, also a development manager at Bozzuto since 2019. Before that, he was a development manager at Questar Properties and an investment analyst at DuPont Capital Management. He holds a bachelor's in business administration from Towson and a master's in science in real estate from Johns Hopkins. Welcome, and thank you so much for your presentation today.
Sure, thanks, John. Hi, everyone, and we're really excited to be able to give this presentation to you all. We had originally put this together for ULI about a month ago, and it's a development project that both UIA, Bozzuto, and the Chevy Chase Land Company have been working on for quite some time. So we're excited to share it with you all. And it's really a great opportunity kind of to get everyone to focus on this place when really a lot of these events focus on things happening in and around downtown. And one of the reasons we wanted to do this sort of during COVID, something virtual, was that we could get everyone to this pocket of DC and show them the development that's happening here, which is really kind of new for the area. So just to give you guys an overview kind of how things will go today, I'm gonna cover some of the larger history of Chevy Chase Lake, and then I'll flip it over to McLean to go through some of the EYA initial redevelopment pieces, which are now complete. And hit a little bit on the master plan. And then Justin will talk about the Bozzuto and Chevy Chase Land Company pieces and some of the unique architectural elements that we kind of wove into this neighborhood to really fit into the Chevy Chase Lake community. So for anyone who isn't familiar with Chevy Chase, it's located here. So upper Northwest DC line is here. So Chevy Chase is on both sides of the line. Chevy Chase Lake is where shown in the star. So Beltway is here. So this is the area we're talking about. Really the red line here is showing Connecticut Avenue and several of the neighborhoods that popped up as sort of suburban developments, if you will, back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And Chevy Chase Lake was sort of the end of the line, the end of a streetcar line that we'll talk about as we move forward. So here's what Chevy Chase Lake, the Chevy Chase Lake pocket, looked like prior to beginning any of the current redevelopment phase. So you had it being a little bit of a commercial node in what is surrounded by a largely single family home community. So here there's a Starbucks you may have stopped at if you're ever headed up to the Beltway, and then an office building down here, gas station, et cetera. So you'll see as we move forward what that stuff is transforming into. Taking you back sort of for a moment again to how Chevy Chase Lake and Chevy Chase originally kind of were developed. You see Connecticut Avenue coming up through here, and the Chevy Chase Land Company started building homes really in this area, which then at the time was a suburban development. And it ended with Chevy Chase Lake up here by the Columbia Country Club. So that's what we're focused on today.
Nan?
So originally it was developed actually being the end of the streetcar line. You can see the car barn located here. And there was a power plant, and it gets its name from a lake that helped serve the power plant. But it also served as actually an amusement park for people. They could come into the streetcar line and enjoy this area. So here you can see a picture of what the Chevy Chase Lake car barn looked like in the late 1800s. And here is the actual lake itself with the power plant in the background, which served not only the streetcars, but also the community that was coming up around the Chevy Chase Lake neighborhood. So people would come here sort of to what really was suburban, but almost a rural sort of part of outside of DC, and enjoy picnics by the lake, just relaxing with family, boating on the lake, and generally just getting together with friends. So it really was an area that served as a entertainment node for folks that you'll see is sort of a theme of where we're bringing it back to today. So again, here's just a picture of some of the games and rides and refreshments you could have up at Chevy Chase. They actually hosted big concerts and dancing, and some of this fun history, I think it's fun, we sort of dove into while we were putting this presentation together. And then we found this little slide of, at the time they were having these dances. They said they were dangerous new dances, things like the bunny wiggle and the grizzly hug. But that was part of the entertainment that was going on up at Chevy Chase Lake in the early 1900s. They kind of continued this entertainment type development with a swimming pool that was built actually. And you can see it here in the late 20s. And that actually existed until the early 70s. And then in 1935, it was the end really of the streetcar. So that closed down, and we obviously no longer have that today, although it's all coming back around with the transit-oriented development of the Purple Line. So it's interesting how good planning comes back around. So then you move into this post-World War II period, and it's largely apartments. It's still this commercial strip, so it continues to serve the community as a place where you can go and have, community amenities, and whether that changed over time to a coffee shop and a gas station, it still serves as a place that serves the community from an amenity perspective. And so here is a picture of what it looked like after the Beltway was completed. And moving sort of through the 1900s, ultimately they built the BF Saul building, which still exists there today. And Justin will talk about this, but that's slated for future redevelopment. Some of the other condos that were developed. So we start to get into some of the multifamily housing as the time moves on. And so that brings us really back to today. And again, starting to reimagine things with this idea of the Purple Line. So when the county, started talking about, and the larger region started talking about the Purple Line coming to fruition and coming along, and in between Chevy Chase Lake, shown here, so this is Chevy Chase Lake, we started to think about primarily the Chevy Chase Land Company, and ultimately UIA and Bozzuto got involved. But what this area could then be redeveloped as. And so here's actually the purple line, so you guys can kind of see how it follows. There'll be a stop in Bethesda, there'll be a stop at Chevy Chase Lake, and then it continues over here, over to Silver Spring. So these are the parcels that we started thinking about from a sector plan and a policy sort of perspective with the county and the community. And I believe it was pre my time, but many years of talks with the county and community, and ultimately a new sector plan got approved in 2013 to facilitate some of this redevelopment and bringing back sort of the idea of transit-oriented development along this purple line that would bring new housing opportunities, new retail opportunities, and everything to the larger Chevy Chase area. So you can see it here, and these are some of the different pieces. Justin will walk you through some of the phasing that Bizzuto and the Chevy Chase Land Company have worked on, and then these are the parcels that McLean will talk about, which was a partnership between EYA and the Housing Opportunities Commission. So with that, I will turn it over to McLean to tell you guys about really the redevelopment that is existing, and then Justin to tell you about what we're building.
Thanks, Devin. So I live in Northwest DC. I love the history of the Chevy Chase Land Company and its role in basically creating what is, Upper Northwest DC, building a streetcar to bring people out so they could monetize their land holdings, and really shaping, the entire Connecticut Avenue corridor and what became what I think of today as a truly spectacular streetcar suburb. And so it's a really fascinating history. It's a really neat thing to be part of, and the linkage back to the original TOD with the purple line is really how we got involved in this project to begin with. So as Devin mentioned, the county systematically began to evaluate MNC PPC, all of the stations that would sit along the purple line, and this station, being one stop from Bethesda, two stops from downtown Silver Spring, was one of the very first areas of focus. And I think that made a lot of sense because of its visibility. It made a lot of sense because it did have consolidated land ownership. So the idea of creating a node here and having scale in that node was feasible. And it also had parcel sizes that could facilitate this form of redevelopment. The Housing Opportunities Commission owned a 5.5 acre stretch on Chevy Chase Lake Drive, which was a dead-end road that run from Connecticut Avenue sort of down to Rock Creek Park. And they owned 68 garden apartments that stretched along Chevy Chase Lake Drive that had been built in the 50s on that parcel. And as they began to think about what they should advocate for in the zoning process for their land, they realized that bringing in a partner who could help envision a project, who could help advocate for the zoning and the entitlement process made sense. Knowing that EYA has a specialty in both mixed income housing and partnering with housing authorities, but also in master planning projects and combining multiple uses into a single site plan, they reached out to our organization, and we began to talk about how we could help them secure zoning for this parcel and come up with a vision that would be compatible with the neighborhood here. I know many of the people on this call are very familiar with Chevy Chase, the battles around the purple line, and know that Chevy Chase was really one of the biggest opponents to the purple line process, and so therefore one of the biggest opponents to the design process and the zoning process that followed. And so in working with the Housing Opportunities Commission, our goal was to come up with a plan that we could sell to the neighborhood. So that really involved thinking about how we could come up with something that was compatible with the lower density on our dead-end street, but that still realized the potential of having a purple line station that achieved the density that I think both planning staff, the politicians, HOC, and EYA thought was appropriate for the site, but to do it in a way that we could win community support. One of the really neat things about this project was that the goal here was to create a significant amount of affordable housing through mixed income redevelopment. And so there's really two components of the project, and I'll walk through it in more detail, but there's a 200-unit multifamily high-rise building that's an apartment building owned by HOC. It has 20% MPDUs, which is the moderately priced dwelling unit program, 20% workforce housing, and 60% market rate housing. And then there are 62 brownstones consisting of 52 market rate units, 10 moderately priced for sale 3-bedroom homes stretching down the majority of the street. That mix did a couple of things for us. It created a lower density buffer to the single family and lower rise residential further down Chevy Chase Lake Avenue. It concentrated the multifamily density in a high rise immediately adjacent to the Purple Line station. It also generated a significant amount of land value from the for sale townhouse component of the project that HOC was able to put into the construction and ownership of the multifamily building that we call the Lindley. I wanted to spend just a few minutes here talking about how our plan evolved over time, because I think for this group of folks on the phone, I think collaborative planning efforts and high quality land use design is something that we certainly take very seriously, but was really exemplified in this project. We originally came up with a vision. That vision transformed over time, but it transformed through careful collaboration with the community, with the politicians and planning groups, and with our design team. And so I included sort of our initial concept plan in the upper right-hand corner that we sold as we advocated for our zoning and our density. We moved on to a sketch plan that looked very, very compatible, and ultimately to a preliminary and site plan, again, that if you squint, looks virtually identical. But there are some nuances that we'll click through here pretty quickly that I think reflect evolution and enhancement over time. This slide, I think, again, just to get back to the overall mission of the project, we took a site that had 21 long-term protected affordable units on it and created a site that had 90 long-term protected affordable units on it, of which 30 of those units were 3-bedroom affordable homes. So that's pretty meaningful in a school district like Chevy Chase and a high opportunity zone like Chevy Chase, one stop from the metro. And if we go on, Devin, to the next slide, we can actually start walking through some of the specific changes that we made over time to react to feedback we got from the broader community. Devin, if you keep rolling, I'll hit these pretty quick. So first was really in the form of the building itself. We had a half-acre public park requirement on our site, and our original vision for a C or U-shaped building stretched that park between our dead-end street and the Purple Line right-of-way. And engaging with Design Collective in an RFP process where we were soliciting bids for architecture services on the project, they proposed or suggested that we rethink our U-shaped building as an L-shaped building, and that the power of doing that was several-fold, that it could allow us to open the park to the existing street, so increase the frontage on the public street of the park. But more importantly, what it could do was it could create a pathway by putting an open portal in the ground floor of the building. It could create a pathway to draw people from down the street through the park, through our building, to get to the Purple Line station and to the retail that's taking place on the Bozzuto Chevy Chase Land Company project that you'll hear about in a minute. So that was a dramatic enhancement, both in the quality of the park space, in the activation of the park space, and in making that park feel like a public place, and in making our building feel like part of the public realm. And Devin, I think we have a picture of what that actually looks like here, but you can get a sense of the ability to basically increase the frontage by 50%, invite and pull people through the park space, activate the ground floor of our building, activate the park space, and really create a more convenient and beautiful pathway for folks to the metro, offering them a place to sit, relax, and enjoy on their way. Another enhancement that was part of the plan was a reconfiguration on the next slide, I think, Devin.
There's
and sorry, here's a shot of the real life of what the Lindley looks like today. Again, we had some challenges with fire lanes here. We had a narrow strip of property that we were trying to develop. We had to ultimately provide fire access through the alleys in our units because we couldn't get to front doors in any meaningful way. But what that left in one condition was a place where we had the backs of homes fronting on a neighborhood use. We were able to reconfigure the site plan and discussions with planning and discussions with the neighbors. I remember sitting on the front porch of a ground floor resident in that condominium on multiple occasions and talking about what her view would look like. But we were able to reconfigure the homes there so that you see the image on the next page instead of garages. As you sit in the condominiums there, you get to see the front doors of what I think became a really beautiful community. These are just some images of the architecture. These are some images of the homes themselves. These homes were large, spacious homes, 2,600 to about 3,600 square feet on 4 levels, large open living spaces, standard elevators, lots of light, lots of air, and the homes themselves were priced from about $1.3 to about $1.8 million, and it was a very well-received community, and we have a lot of happy residents out there now, including one of the founders of EYA. So Lindley is the 200-unit multifamily residential mixed income building that I mentioned earlier. It is owned by HOC. It was designed to be a self-sustaining mixed income building. It was financed using conventional construction financing. It was financed with private equity from a foundation that helped fill a gap between the capital that HOC could invest in the project from the land payments they received on the townhouses to what they needed to support a conventional construction loan. It was really an innovative project and one that was awarded the ULI's Jack Kemp Award for excellence in affordable and workforce housing, something that we're very proud of. And we have some images here that Devin will scroll through quickly, showing what the building feels like now that it's been delivered.
Also managed by Bozzuto.
Thank you, Devin. And, some of the neat features here, because of the amount of affordable housing in the community, we were able to add an extra floor of height to the building. And also some additional density to the building. We have a large rooftop terrace that provides really stunning views out over Chevy Chase. It allows you to see downtown Silver Spring, downtown Bethesda, the top of the Mormon Temple. It's just a really, really wonderful building, and it's something that we in HSC are very proud of.
Awesome. Thanks, McLean.
Thanks, McLean. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Justin Kennel, and I'm a development manager at Bozzuto, and I spend most of my time working and overseeing the development of Chevy Chase Lake. So I think Devin had mentioned we received sketch plan approval back in 2016 for 3 blocks here, blocks A, B, and D, and ultimately site plan approval in block B in 2017. So if you're driving down Connecticut, block B is the site that you see under construction, and I'll be spending most of the time today just focusing on the programming and the development of that block. So altogether, block B's total project cost is roughly $387 million, and the site plan approvals are for up to 790,000 square feet, which we're maximizing. It's a 50-50 partnership between Bozzuto and Chevy Chase Land Company, whereby the land company contributed its land for ownership in the partnership. And we also have condos on the property, around 65 condos that Bozzuto's Homes division actually purchased the air rights to develop and sell for sale condos. And the partnership really began in 2015 when Bozzuto submitted an RFP response to the land company's RFP. We had long admired the land company's approach to business and really their success and longevity in the real estate industry. And, you know, Bozzuto often says we're a family serving family. So we thought that really family culture aligned well with both companies and to develop a strategic vision for the site. What's interesting about this site is because of the long-term nature of the partners and their vision to hold this as a long-term asset. We actually did a private capital raise versus obtaining institutional equity. So there's a lot of investors, high net worth individuals invested in the community as partners in this block. So Block B is developed, constructed, and managed by Bozzuto. You know, I think one of the value propositions we bring to the table is we offer our development services upfront for planning, entitlement, really getting the team together. Our buildings are constructed by our general contracting company, Bozzuto Construction, then ultimately managed by Bozzuto Management Company. So I know the land company appreciated us being vertically integrated and bringing that to the table. And so really the strengths of Block B, some of which we talked about, really kind of boil down to a real exceptional location, historic charm, and natural surroundings. So our vision here for Chevy Chase Lake is really to build on that legacy of a place of tranquility and charm. And we wanted the development to really be a vision of being neighborly. So a welcoming place for the community to gather, and really returning it to its roots, you know, going back to the pictures that Devin shared of people relaxing by the lake and really just spending time outside in nature. We really had an opportunity to weave that through in the vision of the development of this block. So this next chapter that we call it includes modern retail uses and fresh dining options, but we've also integrated activated public spaces for the community to enjoy. And we think that young professionals, empty nesters, and new parents will just be drawn to this site for thoughtfully designed residences, both inside and out, off-site amenities such as Rock Creek Park nearby, the Purple Line Capitol Crescent Trail, and just the exceptional services that we're going to provide at the building. So this is a site plan. You can see that Block B is really broken down into 3 buildings. The blue shaded area is phase 1, and that's currently under construction. The smaller building at the bottom of the plan is the 65 unit for sale condos. And on the bottom of that building is roughly 17,000 square feet of retail, fronting Connecticut Avenue and then Manor Road, plan left. The larger building, the larger footprint in the back there, that's a 280 unit apartment building with 2 courtyards in the center, sitting on a second floor podium, and a little over 60,000 square feet of retail on the bottom of that building, including a 46,000 square foot grocer. And then the yellow shaded building is really the tallest one at roughly 120 feet because it lines the Purple Line, some higher density buildings such as the Lindley and the office building right there on that corner. That's an additional 186 apartment units and more retail on the ground floor. And all 3 buildings center around the town square right there in the center along Connecticut Avenue. So this is a top-down perspective of really the outdoor amenity areas, and really the town square anchors the development and really is the heart of the community. So the couple cool aspects to the town square. One is on the north side there, just below the condo building is a fire lane, but it's also serving as really our pedestrian thoroughfare. We've programmed this area and went back to the county and actually received approval yesterday for additional cafe seating area along this strip to really activate it, give restaurants the opportunity to spill out and create a welcoming atmosphere. This plaza or this strip is lined with trees, with shade canopies and and park benches. And just below that's our lawn area. To the right of that lawn area is really an open space with additional cafe seating and programming for events such as farmers markets and other activated uses that will be stationed there. And then what's separating the two-way drive aisle, really coming from in and out of Connecticut right there on the left, is a long water fountain to provide white noise and really separation from the traffic heading east to west right there, from people really enjoying that space. And so that's one point of ingress and egress. And then the second one is running north-south from Manor Road up at the top, and ultimately it cuts below and underneath the purple line, which sits right there, almost at a slight diagonal at the bottom of the page. And so one of the other interesting things is the extension of the town square really comes up to the bottom of the page. You'll see there's another plaza. This plaza is really accessed by a grand stair from the town square to this elevated plaza. It really sits 30 feet up in the air to connect to the elevated train platform and Capitol Crescent Trail, to provide a second means of ingress and egress off of the Purple Line and Capitol Crescent Trail, the other being just south of the Purple Line station, ultimately to Connecticut. And so I thought it'd just be helpful to look at our overall retail plan, just to see the number of retailers and our programming here. So you'll notice the grocer is the largest format retailer on the right side of the page. Really, we did was position them to wrap around some inline space to create some more placemaking opportunities along Chevy Chase Lake Terrace. But we'll have a mix of neighborhood services such as dry cleaning or nail, but other more activated uses such as boutique fitness operators, full service and fast casual restaurants, and really anchored by a pharmacy, a bank, and a full service grocery store. I just gave a quick shout out to the many consultants working on this project. I think we're all really happy with the progress that we've made, especially during these challenging times. And just got a great team on here to keep this project moving. This is another image of the sector plan, which was kind of the original formation of Block B. You can tell it's evolved quite a bit. This is also a section view showing the Purple Line Bridge crossing Connecticut Avenue, one of our buildings, another bridge which separates kind of our phase 2 building, and then our phase 1 building, the larger format apartment building as part of phase 1. And so this is an aerial view of the sketch plan. You'll see blocks B, D, and A once again. Block A is a future development in which kind of the bottom right portion of which backs up to single family residential. So it has a lower building height backing up to that community. And then Block D is currently an office building, and it also has a kind of a higher building height, which allowed for the thought of a higher building height in Block B for a phase 2 building. I'll mention that both blocks D and A are owned by the land company. This is another image of the sketch plan. You can keep going, Devin. And this is some of the architectural inspiration images that really inspired David M. Schwartz's exterior design on the building. I know that they can definitely put it more eloquently than myself, but they really did a fantastic job on incorporating some of the brick, the cast stone, the intricate architectural details that you see in the surrounding community into our development. some of these profiles that you see here will be evident in the architecture at our Chevy Chase Lake Block B development. So it really served as inspiration here. This is a exterior facade elevation of our condo building. And what David M. Schwartz had done is really break up the brick facades to make it feel like there's multiple buildings. And there's a couple of different architectural expressions going on here, drawing from both Italian Renaissance styles. You can also pull out some Art Deco, such as on the far right, the dark brick building. And then cast stone features in various spaces. And of course, kind of like the creme de la creme in the center there, really anchoring the building with this nice kind of off-white cream colored brick centering there. This is a elevation of our phase 1 apartment building, the larger building in the rear there, as you can see in the upper right portion of the building. You know, we have 2 architectural towers that sit right above what's going to be on the ground floor, our main residential lobby entrance. And then this is an elevation of the phase 2 building. You can see right there splitting the 2 different brick facades is a green metal facade. And on the bottom there is our grand stair. That's the grand stair that connects the town square in the center of the community to the elevated purple line that ultimately connects to the Capitol Crescent Trail and the future Purple Line station. And this is the south elevation. And here's an image of the plaza connecting to the Purple Line. We have some more green space, a water fountain up there, bike storage. On the bottom right, this is the grand stair entrance to the trains and Capitol Crescent Trail. There's another top-down perspective. This is a rendered top-down rendering of the town square. You'll notice the condo building with some rooftop amenity space, the 3 different facade brick profiles, the phase 1 apartment building in the back, and the town square here. This is a rooftop amenity area in our phase 2 building. We wanted to provide, again, a place of sanctuary for residents to come. We couldn't really put a pool on the top, so on the bottom right, we have this wet area for lounge chairs to rest in, just to kind of cool you off on a summer day. But we'll have fire pits up here, multiple grilling stations, outdoor co-working, and it'll be highly amenitized. And this is a perspective looking from Manor Road into that street, cutting down the center northwest of the site. This is the proximity, this is the corner of the building where the grocer is going to anchor and will be their main point of entrance to the store. Another rendering of the site, this is looking down that pedestrian plaza that I had mentioned, activated with cafe seating and lined with benches and trees. So that's it from my end. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys listening into our presentation.
Thanks, Justin. I'm going to attempt now to share a video with you guys that we made back in June to show you the progress of the site. You'll see UIA's pieces that exist today, and then you'll see the under construction Bozzuto pieces as well. So McLean and Justin, feel free to chime in if you want to point anything out during the video, or otherwise, everyone just enjoy the video.
Nothing yet, Devin, on the screen here. Here we go. So this video starts off by coming in from Connecticut Avenue down Chevy Chase Lake Drive, which is the dead-end street that the HOC EYA redevelopment takes place on. This street runs parallel to the Capitol Crescent Trail and the Purple Line right-of-way. And you can see the Lindley here. You can see the construction of the grocery-anchored building just behind it. And as we round the corner here, you'll actually be able to see the underpass that will connect Chevy Chase Lake Terrace, a new street, from Chevy Chase Lake Drive over to Manor Road. So there's a new bridge there that will span for both the Purple Line and the Capitol Crescent Trail. The decision to orient the Lindley towards the Purple Line as opposed to towards Chevy Chase Lake Drive was one that we made early on in the project. And as we really used the portal to define how we wanted to bring people through the site, across the property, and towards the Purple Line, this is the connection point that will link you to the town square that Bozzuto and the land company are developing, with a road and a sidewalk under the Purple Line and the trail. Here is the portal itself, which really splits our building into two pieces, which connects directly out onto the park. The park itself features a 100-foot runnel that is a water feature that can be played in, splashed in. It's connected to a slide that is built into that hill that you see there, with boulders terraced up to provide access to the top of the slide. Here, as you rotate, you can see the slide, the runnel, and the brownstones at Chevy Chase Lake coming in focus. So our goal here in the architecture of the brownstones was to do something that was contextual, that recognized sort of the rich history of Chevy Chase and responded to the neighborhood, but that was a little bit transitional from the more modern architecture of the Lindley toward that traditional Chevy Chase aesthetic. There were 62 homes, as I mentioned, including 10 moderately priced dwelling units, and a number of the homes fronted on the park and faced the Lindley.
Chris, and so there's of course a time cap to how long these things last.
From a design perspective, these alleys are wider than our typical alleys would be in a townhome development, but they were designed to accommodate a fire truck driving into the alley to provide fire service to those homes.
Just a reminder for everyone to keep yourselves on mute if possible. I've muted most people, but I think we're getting some background noise.
Because they wasted so much time.
This is a time-lapse video of the three-level below-grade garage being constructed. Construction began in October of 2018, so we're close to 2/3 of being done. But you see the apartment going up right now with the podium separating the retail uses from the residential, and the wood framing operations commencing. It looks a little different today. We have windows going in right there where you see wood framing. And then we have brick starting to make its way up where you see the sheathing on the ground floor. And the condo building is all post-tension concrete, whereas this apartment building is 5 levels of wood framing over a concrete podium. You know, one of the challenges that we had to deal with was really the grade change from the Connecticut Manor intersection up there, heading down to the southeast corner of the site. There were, it's pretty significant. So just getting all the retail slabs aligned and the roads at proper elevations with sidewalks was a challenge for our civil and landscape team. But you can start to see on this elevation there some some of the balconies and the architectural profiles of those being very strong. And this is that perspective from that, what I call the pedestrian lined area. You could see it during construction today. We did an exterior mock-up, so you could see all of the different facades and the brick profiles that are happening here with the cast stone. This is the condo side. And this is the apartment side. So we have two of the facades, mostly facing the town square and the road, being brick, and then some hardy on the backside and within the courtyards.
It's the largest and most varied exterior mock-up that I've seen, but I love looking at it from our side of the street because they're beautiful, beautifully detailed.
Thanks, McQuinn. This is the residential lobby to the phase 1 apartment building. That giant hole is to facilitate a grand stair going up from level 1 to level 2. And this is kind of looking towards the retail in the center of the building on level 1. You can see the purple line in the background there, all their ground improvements. And that's the Lindley right there. Level 2 is where we have most of our amenities. We have a club room with a dual-sided fireplace for lounging, a game room, a co-working space, a private dining space, and a fitness center that fronts the pool courtyard, which is shown right here. Going through the maze of the wood frame construction, and ultimately taking a top-down look at 8401, that's block D, future development, right there on the other side of the purple line. And then what will be phase 2 in Town Square, and ultimately our condo building looking out to Connecticut.
I think that's about it for the video.
Well, thank you all for a great presentation of a great project. That was quite enjoyable. Do we have questions?
May I ask a question? Were there any transportation studies about where patrons of the Purple Line originate? And is there any parking in connection with the station?
So there were significant traffic studies conducted about this station in particular. There was some concern from the neighborhood that this station may be seen, given its proximity to the Beltway, as a destination for parkers. But there is really no parking contemplated around the station. It really is envisioned as a residential station where people will arrive by foot to the Purple Line station or depart by foot. One of the great things about its proximity to Connecticut Avenue is that you have existing transit running up and down Connecticut Avenue already, and so connections from the neighborhoods by bus service, by bike share, or by foot will really allow people to get to a lot of different places from the Purple Line station here. And I will say, you know, our office is in downtown Bethesda, which is one Purple Line stop away. Prior to the construction start of the Purple Line, I used to walk or bike share to the site all the time because it took 15 minutes, 10 minutes to get there. I think once the Capitol Crescent Trail opens up, you may have folks who are, getting there via the trail as well.
Any other questions?
There are questions in the chat room.
Let's see.
So I see one question about how the various units with different income restrictions organized. I can speak to that as it relates to the HOC EYA component of the project. Again, we have 90 affordable homes between the 80 that are located within the Lindley and the 10 that are located within the townhome component of the project. All of the units are fully interspersed throughout the components of the project. So every string of townhouses had at least one moderately priced dwelling unit in it, largely indistinguishable from any of the other units unless you were looking and happened to observe that it was a little bit narrower than the other homes. Within the multifamily building, the units were again allocated across all the floors. All of the affordable units had the exact same finishes, the quartz countertops, stainless steel appliances as the market rate units. The one way in which the affordable units were different was that there were all of the 3-bedroom apartment homes provided within the Lindley were affordable homes. So we actually didn't have any 3-bedroom market rate homes. And to accommodate those 3-bedroom affordable homes, they were given corners within the building because that allows for an easier configuration of a 3-bedroom home. And so actually 2 of the exterior corners within the building, those tiers are all affordable homes, all 3-bedroom homes.
We had a question about how COVID has impacted sales. And I think, Clem, you guys might have been sold out pre-COVID, but Justin, I don't know if we're planning anything different for the condo sales, any virtual sort of things or items like that?
Yeah, we, when COVID happened, we still are planning out an off-site sales center for our condos, which will sit at the ground level of that office building on the corner right there for future Block D. And so our sales team is developing a virtual sales program, but we still plan to open that up in November and take the proper safety precautions. We think it's important for people to touch and feel the finishes that they'll get. So really appointments will be private only, by appointment, and we'll try to keep it as safe and clean as possible.
Yeah, and I'll just add, we have done that as well at a number of our open townhome communities right now. While we had completely closed our sales centers for several months, we have now reopened by appointment only for private appointments. But we have redesigned all of our spaces to really accommodate social distancing and safe interactions between our sales team and our prospective customers. And then we've also really thought about creating virtual assets, digital tools that can convey the types of places we're creating via the web.
One more question that came up was about the design being, very sort of retro and matching some of the historical nature. And the question was, is that related to any market studies that we did? Did you guys do anything on that front?
Is that the Lindley being retro or Block B?
Probably Block B.
Yeah, there's a couple different, design senses in Block B. The architecture is traditional with, a lot of brick and cast stone. You'll notice that the landscape is a little bit more modern. Our landscape architect firm is Mahan Reichel. So we try to bridge that gap. And then with the apartment unit finishes, we're offering a mix. Like at least on the phase 1 building, we have traditional floors. For example, they have shaker cabinets, and then we have modern floors with more modern contemporary fixtures and finishes. Then phase 2, which has a different interior designer, Patrick Sutton. His style is interesting in that he kind of shapes his spaces on the inside traditionally. So bold trim, like elaborate millwork, but offers a more contemporary art and decorative light fixture kind of program. So there's a lot of styles going on. It's kind of a bridge of traditional and modern, depending on which space you're in. But we did run through market studies, and people seem to gravitate towards contemporary, more modern interiors, but I appreciate the fact that we had traditional architecture pulling from the community and the history surrounding the site.
Can you offer any info on future apartment or condo rents and sales prices? New question that came in.
Yeah, we're still developing our condo sales pricing just ahead of November. But for the apartments, just going back to the earlier question of affordable housing, just per the Montgomery County requirement, 12.5% of all of our units are moderately priced dwelling units per county rent programs. And the rest market rate units, we're targeting around $3,400 per month on average.
What are the sizes of the apartments, the range? I mean, 1-bedroom studio, 2 bedrooms?
Yeah.
Condos and rentals?
We have a mix of studios, 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms, even 3 bedrooms in both buildings, to allow for, empty nesters, maybe downsizing. They may not want to purchase a condo for upwards of $1 million, but may want a mixed use experience and kind of a quieter residential neighborhood. So we have something for everyone. Like I said, we try to develop the unit mixes for a broad range of demographics and families. So.
Any other questions? Did we cover all the ones in the chat?
I think
Yeah,
we got
may I?
most of them.
Hi, this is Lou Slade. I applaud the developers. I applaud Montgomery County, and I applaud the governor of Maryland for pushing the blue line through. This purple line through. If this was done without the purple line, it would be a completely different project, and it would not be as successful. So this is a great example of excellent planning and using transportation to create an amazing opportunity. And one of you guys talked about riding your bicycle between Bethesda and this Chevy Chase Lake location. I recognized that for the first time in a quick drive from Bethesda out to the Beltway on Connecticut Avenue, that you're right on top of Bethesda. It's amazing. This is going to be an opportunity for all those people who work for Marriott and they're rehired to live in your community and go to work in 10 minutes, without having to use a car, without having to own a car. One thing I would advise you on is that we live in Chevy Chase in DC, right near Chevy Chase Circle, and there's a little business district here. The speeds on the street are 25 miles an hour. My mother-in-law lived up in Chevy Chase Lake area, and one of the elder residents there. The speeds are 35 miles an hour, and that 10-mile-an-hour difference changes the entire environment on the street. But you're not going to want to walk your child in the walker on a street where cars are going by at 35 miles an hour. But at 20 or 25 miles an hour, it's quiet and placid, and you feel like you're in a comfortable place and not a place that has an arterial road driving through it at the high speed. And this is the only other thing I'll say. It's built, and it doesn't make any difference, and it wasn't your fault. It's built so it doesn't make any difference what I say right now. I sure wish that the transit vehicles were down at street level. you know, I'm 80 years old almost, so that's the way it was when I was a kid. And it's nice to have transit vehicles at street level, not up 20 feet above the ground. But I'm sure you'll get muralists to make all those structures beautiful, and everybody will love it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The one advantage of having it not be at grade, and the reason it's not at grade where we are, is that it spans Connecticut Avenue, which is just, the station basically sits on Connecticut Avenue. While, that does create access issues, one of the advantages for people who are walking or biking is that now the Capitol Crescent Trail crosses Connecticut Avenue by bridge as well, which means that you won't have to play the game of Frogger that you used to have to play to cross Connecticut Avenue when you were running or on your bike like I've been a bunch of times.
Any other questions? Well, seeing none, Devin, McLean, and Justin, thank you so much for a great presentation of a great project, and congratulations. It's looking fantastic, and it'll be a great addition to the community. Lisa?
Oh, just going to say thanks everyone for coming. We will have a meeting in August. We'll be sending something out shortly, and hope everyone will join us. It was great. We've had up to, like 40 some people here today. So I think it's, people are looking for interesting presentations and information, and I'm glad everyone could come.
Yes, thank you all for coming, and don't forget to go through your contacts and come up with some new members for us. The board will be voting on them in September. So let's get some great new people on board.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
all.
you. Bye.